What's going on, insiders? Brian Reese here, coming at you live from Austin, Texas. We're talking about back pain. Goodness, a lot of veterans have back pain. A lot of vets have musculoskeletal issues across the board that affect your life, affects your work, affects your life. It affects your social functioning. It affects your well-being. It affects all aspects of life. And so we're going to cover some of those topics today, though, and at least try to get you fixed up and help you guys understand what's going on, right? And how you go about getting a VA disability rating for back pain. So today's webinar, by the way, is called The Expert's Guide to VA Disability Ratings for Back Pain. This has just been an unprecedented time. And I don't know about you guys, but it's been hard. I mean, it has been dang hard where you have this feeling of like, I don't know if I should go outside. And then sometimes as vets, we don't want to go outside, right? And so we suffer alone in silence. And I was having this conversation with my wife the other day. I said, for most veterans, myself included, this coronavirus pandemic really hasn't changed anything, right? I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I still don't leave my house that much. I still don't trust people. I still don't have close personal relationships with other human beings. And so, my life as a veteran during this coronavirus pandemic hasn't really changed, right? And I guess, I don't know, maybe that's sad, right? And I don't know. I'm curious to hear from you guys if you've had a similar experience, either as a fellow disabled vet or with the folks that you serve. Vets just in general, we got a lot of stuff going on, mental issues, physical issues, and those types of things can really wear on you over time to the point where you want to stay in what you consider to be your safe space, which is typically the confines of your home, right? And that's just the reality here. Life really hasn't changed that much for fellow disabled vets. And so, look, what I want to tell you today, though, is whatever you're going through, we got it. We hear you. And as fellow disabled vets at VA Claims Insider and inside of this movement of veterans helping veterans worldwide, this is what we do every single day. And this is why we do it, is to help y'all cope, to get better, to feel a sense of identity again, a purpose, a calling, a meaning. Okay, I believe in my heart that God put every single human being on earth for a reason. Okay, you're here for a specific reason. And you may not know what that is right now. You might be kind of stuck. You might feel like there's all these things blocking you, and there's so many external circumstances that are outside of your control, and you might feel lost. I've been there. Insiders, fellow disabled veterans inside of our community are struggling with that very issue right now. And life is freaking hard, vets. Life is hard. And, one of the things we really help you do, though, inside of our community is help you unlock and unleash a sense of purpose and meaning and calling in your life. Okay, we're gonna get to be friends. Okay, if you want to be my friend, my virtual friend, that is. And the other thing is, this is a mastermind. This is the ultimate support system and function to pick you up when you're feeling down, to get you out of the freaking stands and out onto the field, okay? To get you out of the bleachers, the cheap seats, and into the ring. Because if there's one thing I have learned about life, okay, it's this. If you don't get up and take it, if you don't slug back with everything you have, okay, you'll get crippled. This thing called life will force you to your knees to the point where you might feel like you can't fight anymore. Right? Maybe you've lost the will to fight. And, sometimes for me, when I'm on my knees, that's when that prayer really becomes important. Okay. Whatever you believe, by the way, you can believe whatever you want. I know what I believe. I believe in Jesus. Okay. I believe in God, but I believe in Jesus Christ. And there have been many moments in my life where I don't know what to do, right? I don't know what the right answer is other than to get back up and throw another punch, okay? Other than to surround myself with people who are better than me, people who I think have figured things out more than me. And right now, some of those folks are our teammates, you as fellow veterans, my wife, my brother, my mom and dad, because you got to lean on them for support, okay? Because times are tough. People are out of work. People don't know how they're going to make their payments, their mortgage payments, their bills. You're worried about your kids, right? You can be filled with worry. And as fellow vets, so many of us suffer from mental and physical conditions that simply exacerbate these situations, right? To the point where all of a sudden, it isn't just the pandemic. It's the pandemic coupled with the loss of a job, coupled with I got friends and family members who are sick or dying from the coronavirus, right? I'm gaining weight, I'm depressed, I'm suicidal. And all of these things it's like the perfect storm for fellow disabled vets. And you've heard me say this again, gang, and I'm gonna say it forever. We do life together here. Okay? We do life together here at VA Claims Insider and inside of our community, right? We don't just talk about claims. We talk about life. We talk about good things. We talk about bad things. We talk about ugly things. And I'll tell you, there is real, true, raw, open, honest power in vulnerability. I've long believed that the key to leadership is vulnerability, right? And there's been some fantastic TED Talks on the subjects. There's books about the subject. If you happen to catch yesterday's live, all right, with the VACI champions team, DP, Sean, Tyrone, it was epic. And what struck me about it was, again, the power, the raw, real power in vulnerability and in sharing the things that you want to hide, right? We've all got skeletons in our closet. Believe me, you don't get through life without a few skeletons in that closet, okay? Guess what? Embrace it. You're not alone. I got skeletons. Folks on our teams have skeletons. We've all said, maybe we're doing those things right now that we know are just destructive. But we feel like we can't get out of those situations. We need a nudge, right? We need a boost. We need a lift. That's where coaching comes into play. And I want to talk about coaching for a minute. Right? I've heard we got a lot of haters. We got a lot of naysayers. I get it. Right? I'm going to love our haters just like I love our supporters. Right? I'm not going to criticize you. You have a right in this country to feel the way you feel or to think certain things or to say what you want to say. It's called free speech. But I'll tell you, though, there is a very common misconception about what coaching means, okay? Now, we've got a policy at VA Claims Insider on coaching and consulting. What does that mean? right? What does coaching and consulting mean in the concepts of what we do? In the context of what we do. Coaching is inherently an inside out process. Okay, coaching is from the heart out. What that means, if you're an expert coach, okay, it's less about telling you what to do, okay? It's more about opening you up, getting you into the right mindset to understand and overcome obstacles that have been holding you back, things that have been standing in your way. And here's why coaching is so important, okay, in the context of what we call coaching. Human beings, veterans, okay, all human beings though, we suck at seeing ourselves the way that other people see us, okay? I see myself a certain way. I think I'm a certain way. I might say something that, well, this is what I mean when I said that, right? But other people perceive that differently, right? Other people see me differently than I see myself. A coach can help you peek around the corners, okay? A coach can help shed some light on some of those dark areas or some misunderstandings you might have going on in your work, your life, whatever. And they can help unleash the very best that's inside of you. But it's from the heart out. The coach is not telling you what to do. The coach is creating an environment and empowering you to come up with the answers for yourself, right? It's not teaching you, right? You find out how to learn. You discover the answers to your own questions. That's what coaching is. It's a heart out, it's an inside out process, okay? Consulting is the exact opposite. Consulting, I see very similar to things like mentoring, okay? If you've got a mentor, okay, this is some of the difference, by the way, between mentoring and coaching and then consulting and coaching. Consulting's an outside in approach. Coaching is an inside out, from the heart out, okay? Consulting is the exact opposite. It's an outside in approach. You typically hire a consultant because you don't have the time, energy, knowledge, commitment, understanding to accomplish some specific task. Okay, that's why you go hire a business consultant to come in and work on your business. You probably have a clearly defined task that you need done. You want to rely on somebody else's expertise, judgment, skill set to help solve a problem for you, right? But it's an outside in. A consultant comes from the outside. They bring their knowledge in. They help you solve a problem, okay, over time. That's the essence of consulting. Mentoring is very similar. Mentoring, you look to advice from a mentor, okay? You shouldn't look to specific advice from a coach. A coach is going to help you unleash the answers to your own questions. A mentor is going to tell you, hey, based upon my experience, here's what I did. Hey, I had a similar situation. Here's what I did, and here was the result. Okay, and then you can either use that example, you can build upon that example. Okay, but that's some of the difference. Coaching has absolutely nothing to do with telling somebody what to say. There was a report that talked about the concern that there are companies out there who are coaching veterans on what to say, okay? We aren't going to coach you on what to say, okay? We're going to help you understand what you're dealing with so you feel comfortable enough to talk about it, right? There's a big difference. Coaching somebody to lie, that's dishonest, that's fraudulent, that's illegal, versus coaching somebody to understand what they're dealing with from the heart out, mentally and physically, giving that person permission to be vulnerable so that they can talk about what they got going on. Here's something I've learned, vets. We suck at being vulnerable. We play tough guy. We put our army hat on. We put the officer hat on. We put the senior enlisted troop hat on. We put the, I'm not going to leave anybody behind, the mission first, right? Well, mission first does not mean at the expense of your own personal well-being. Now, let me explain what that means. You're no good to the mission. You're no good to your troops. You're no good to your family if you can't take care of you. I'm going to say that again. You're no good to the mission. You're no good to your family. You're no good to your friends. You're no good to your place of work if you can't take care of you. Okay? That is why I constantly talk about picking up the phone, calling the mental health crisis line, participating in an anonymous chat, going to see VA mental health for the first time, making an appointment with your primary care physician to talk about what's going on. Okay? That's what we talk about when we talk about coaching at VA Claims Insider. It's giving you permission to be uncomfortable. Get comfortable being uncomfortable, because that's what we do around here. Okay? And if you don't want that, if you're not willing to come on board to celebrate life change, to try to make a difference, to try to get better, to try to reach down and pull somebody up off the ground, to send the elevator back down so somebody else can jump on, okay, we're probably not a good fit for you. You should probably use somebody else, okay? You probably shouldn't join, okay, because we talk about uncomfortable things here, okay? I want to share something real fast, and it's a quote that I think is so powerful, and it really spoke to me, and I want to share it because you're here for a reason, okay? This is a quote by David Viscott. He says, "The purpose of life is to discover your gift. The work of life is to develop it." You develop your gift, okay, through work. "And the meaning of life is to give your gift away." Wow. I don't know about you, but that speaks right here, right? The 18 inches between your heart and your brain, you start to get that connection. The purpose of life is to discover your gift. The work of life is to develop it, and the meaning of life is to give your gift away to other people. Why do you think we do this? Every single week, right? We're giving our gift away to you, fellow veterans who need us most, okay? Hang in there. Whatever you're going through, listen to me. Tomorrow will be better, okay? You got to build. Sometimes you got to just take a half step, right? And you might take a half step forward and then fall 2 steps back, right? You might, maybe you're battling alcoholism, and today you drink, right? But then tomorrow you don't, and you take that baby step, and then maybe it's enough for you. You're sober for 1 day. Maybe you can go 2 days, right? And then if you're sober for 2 days, maybe it can be 3, okay, or maybe not. But keep moving forward, right? Denzel Washington, man, for as great as he is as an actor, he's a great human being. He's an incredible man. He's given some epic speeches to students around the world. It's like listening to a philosopher. And he mentions this in the context of falling forward, right? Falling forward. I don't want to fall backwards. I want to fall forward. And the part of it that struck me is he's like, oh, look, all the advice you get is wrong. He's like, I remember my mama told me, make sure you have something to fall back on, Denzel. Make sure if this acting thing doesn't work out, make sure you got something to fall back on. In his comment, he's like, screw that. If I'm going to fall, I'm going to fall forward. I'm not going to fall backwards. I'm not going to take it in the shorts. I'm not going to end up on my back. If I'm going to fall, if I'm going to fail, I'm going to do it forward. Man, I love that. Woo! Getting all excited today. People are like, preach it. Preach it. It's like going to church. Going to church. All right. Well, we're talking about back pain today. VA disability ratings for back pain. All right. I want to do a quick disclaimer here first, and then we'll jump right into the back pain. Okay. But quick disclaimer. I'm not an accredited agent. I'm not a VSO. I'm not an attorney. I'm not an entity recognized by the VA in any way. I have nothing to do with the Department of Veterans Affairs. Okay. In any way. Or DOD for that matter. What we're going to talk about today, this video, all of its contents, anything on our blog is for informational and educational purposes only. Okay, some of the content we talk about today regarding back pain and back conditions, please do not ever use what I say or what you read on our website as a substitute for the medical advice from a doctor or a healthcare provider or the legal advice of a VA accredited attorney. Okay, we're not lawyers. I'm not giving legal advice. I may share opinions, stuff today. You might have a question. I might share my opinions. All right. But it's not legal advice and it's not medical advice either. All right. So let's jump in here. Let's talk about the expert's guide, VA disability ratings for back pain. Here's one thing I do know. Okay. I do a lot of data mining. I'm a super geek nerd when it comes to the numbers. When it comes to understanding certain things about the law, understanding certain disabilities, I'm naturally curious to learn, okay? And then when I learn, I share. It's part of giving the gift away, okay? Now, by far, the most commonly claimed and rated disabilities are musculoskeletal conditions, hips, joints, backs, knees, right? Arms, shoulders, knees, feet, ankles, etc. Musculoskeletal disabilities, okay? Now today, though, we're going to break that down and expand that framework of musculoskeletal conditions into the back, okay? Commonly looked at in the spine, okay? Now, in general, the VA disability ratings for back conditions range from 10% to 100%. Okay, now it's very, very rare for somebody to get a 100% rating for their back unless you literally have a spine that's frozen, right? Like you cannot move, and it's literally caused significant work life and social functioning issues. Okay, unfavorable motion meaning you literally are locked, it's frozen. Okay, but more commonly is veterans with their back ratings are typically rated around 10%, 20, 30, 50, 60. Okay, it really depends on how the VA decides to rate you. Okay, now with all musculoskeletal conditions, okay, so I want you to be thinking about, even if you're hearing my voice right now live on Facebook or live on YouTube, you're watching the recording later on, maybe you don't have a back condition, okay? Knock on wood, I don't have a back condition, okay? I'm not rated for anything with my back, but I have other musculoskeletal conditions. And all musculoskeletal conditions are very similar. So even if you don't have a back issue, I want you to turn your brain on and be asking yourself this question of, how does this apply to me? Okay, because I guarantee you there's some nuggets in here that you can walk away from today's training, today's teaching, and you can apply this to you. okay, in your situation, okay? So bottom line, all VA disability ratings come down to the frequency, severity, and duration of symptoms, okay? Symptoms. Now for musculoskeletal conditions, it really comes down to 3 areas, which is pain, painful motion, limitation of range of motion, okay, sometimes known as a ROM test, so limitation of movement, okay, and then something called functional loss or impairment, which we're going to talk about here in a little bit. Now, the other thing is, don't forget about your secondary claims. Veterans who have service-connected back conditions, spinal conditions already, okay, typically also suffer from something called radiculopathy, which happens when the nerves in your spinal cord get pinched. Okay, it creates a ton of pain. But you can actually have ratings for both back pain, back limitation of range of motion, functional impairment or loss, and a secondary rating for radiculopathy. Okay, and we'll talk about that again. So a couple guiding principles though. Painful motion. The painful motion principle. This is right out of the law. Okay, this is not my opinion and I'm about to tell you. This is in CFR 38, Part 4, the schedule for rating disabilities. Okay, regardless of your range of motion for your back, for your hip, for your arm, okay, if range of motion, if movement causes you pain, okay, even if you have full flexion, let's say that you can move entirely, but you have pain in that motion, okay, by law, by statute, you should at least be awarded the minimum rating, which most musculoskeletal conditions is 10%. Okay, so painful motion, minimum rating. Now, the other interesting thing by law is the VA rater is supposed to pick the rateable category, okay, the code under the law that supports the highest rating for the condition that you have. Now, that doesn't always happen, but they're supposed to do it depending on your symptoms. Okay, so that's the painful motion principle that I want to cover. So if you're at a C&P exam for a musculoskeletal condition and you have full range of motion, great. But if you have full range of motion with pain, make sure you're being open, honest, and vulnerable with the examiner so that they can annotate that you have pain. All right, that's at least the minimum rating. All right, now the most important factor though for any musculoskeletal conditions, your back especially, okay, your back especially, limitation of range of motion. That is the primary factor in determining your overall rating for a musculoskeletal condition or a VA disability rating for back pain. How much limitation of range of motion do you have? Now, the other interesting thing is at your compensation and pension exam, the examiner is supposed to use a device called a goniometer. Okay, think of it like a protractor. I'm reaching back into like my second and third and fourth grade days. It kind of looks like a protractor, right? And it's got measurements on there, measures angles, it measures length and distances. But make sure that if you go to a compensation and pension exam for a musculoskeletal condition, that the examiner used a goniometer to measure your range of motion. And if he or she didn't, I recommend you annotate that in your notes, okay? Key point here. I've had some veterans ask me, okay, well, how should I act at my C&P exam? You act like you, right? You wear normal clothes. You can talk to the examiner like you're a real person. And when they're asking you to move in certain positions, hey, bend over and touch your toes. Hey, I want you to arch up. I want you to turn to the side. I want you to, reach down with your right hand and touch your right foot. Reach down with your left hand and touch your left foot. If you have full motion, move, right? You have to be truthful. If you have pain with that movement, you got to tell him or her, okay? If you can't move without pain, you need to make the examiner stop, okay? Do not let the examiner put you in a position that causes you significant stress and pain, okay? Weakness, stress, pain, limitation of motion. Make them stop, okay? Make them stop as soon as you feel pain, okay? So we've talked about pain so far, limitation of range of motion measured by the goniometer, okay? So let's jump into some of the ratings. In general, okay, again, the 100% rating, I never see it. And the reason is there's something in there that's called unfavorable ankylosis of the entire spine, okay, ankylosis. What that means is you can't move at all. It's your spine is frozen, okay? Very rarely do we see that. And at the 50% level, it talks about an unfavorable ankylosis of the entire thoracolumbar spine. Okay, and again, I'm not a doctor, so you were going to rely on the C&P examiner to annotate the notes appropriately. Okay, but again, you can go from 10%, 20%, 30%, 40, 50, and 100 is the general standard for back conditions. And in general, it comes down to the limitation of range of motion, specifically the limitation by degree. Okay, and that degree limitation should be measured by the goniometer. Okay, and again, back to that painful motion principle. If no limitation of range of motion is present, but you as the claimant, you've got pain when you move, the minimum rating according to the general schedule should be applied. Okay. All right, let's talk about functional loss real quick. And by the way, hang tight. I'm going to be doing some questions, okay, at the end today. And I'm going to answer those live if you're hearing me, watching me right now on Facebook. If you're watching the recording on Facebook or YouTube, scroll down into the comments, ask your questions. We're going to do our best to answer them, okay? And by the way, if you need some help, if you want to join our community, you want to join the world's largest mastermind community of veterans helping veterans worldwide, come on in, okay? Come on, let's go. Let's do it, right? Get out the chair and get into the ring and punch back, okay? That's what we do inside of our mastermind group. Again, you can join right now. It's a free 3-step intake. www.vaclaimsinsiderelite.com. We're going to follow up with you almost immediately. And I look forward to meeting with you, right? Look forward to chatting, looking forward to serving and supporting you any way we can, okay? Okay, functional loss. This is the third point. There's some confusion on what functional impairment, functional loss means, okay? Here is what it means in the context of back pain. Okay, now I'm going to read a piece here right from a guidebook on the examination handbook of back pain. Functional loss means impairment of spine function as determined by range of motion, as reported in the physical exam, an additional loss of range of motion after repetitive use caused by the following factors: pain, fatigue, weakness, lack of endurance, and incoordination. Okay, so functional loss, the degree to which you're no longer able to function because of your back condition or your musculoskeletal condition, also plays into it. Okay, so again, we've talked about the ratings from 10 to 100 so far, and it's under the law. It's categorized the general formula for diseases and injuries of the spine. Okay, and you can Google that. It is the law. I think you need to know it if you're going to punch back and you're going to get the rating you deserve by law. I think you need to have a general understanding of how your condition is going to be evaluated by the VA. Okay. Again, you can go to Google right now and type CFR 38 Part 4, the schedule for rating disabilities. Okay. Now, there's also something called intervertebral disc syndrome. okay? Sometimes called IVDS. I've seen it called that, IDS syndrome. But it talks about incapacitating episodes. Now, I'm not going to get into that in detail here, but that can be rated from 10 to 60%. Now, generally, again, you can't differentiate the symptoms between your back condition and the formula for rating intervertebral disc syndrome, okay, with incapacitating episodes. By law, the rater is supposed to use the code that gives you the higher rating. Okay, now that generally doesn't happen. I shouldn't say that. It's supposed to happen. It does happen. I wish they knew more, okay, of how they're actually supposed to apply this by law. The other thing that's interesting here, though, is you're not going to get multiple ratings for your back due to the legal concept against pyramiding. Okay, again, this is right out of the law. The legal concept of pyramiding is that the rater cannot grant separate ratings for the same or similar conditions. They have to pick one, okay, and that makes sense. So you're likely only going to get one back rating. Now, I saw a question earlier. Somebody asked, is sciatica the same as radiculopathy? Sciatica is a subset of radiculopathy. It depends on where it is in your spine. Okay, again, I'm not a doctor, but I did sleep at a Holiday Inn Express last night. No. So my brother asked me, my brother's a doctor, by the way. He went to medical school, and we talk often, and he laughs at me sometimes. He's like, man, you know a lot about medical conditions. And I was like, well, I know how to use Google, okay? And dang it, like, you can learn almost anything by using Google. You can read BVA case law. It's out there, right? You can read what's on the docket. You can understand what precedent means, right? You don't need to be a lawyer to understand the law. You don't need to be a doctor to understand medicine. You don't need to be a VA rater to understand the disability system, right? But you have to have a natural curiosity and a willingness to learn, and you got to be resourceful. You have to be resourceful. If you're not going to be resourceful, if you're not going to take action so that you can get what you deserve by law, again, we're not a good fit for you, okay? Because we're not going to do it for you. You have to do it, okay? You have to do it. All right, so we talked about the legal concept of pyramiding. The other thing, though, that I wanted to mention about radiculopathy is that pinching. Okay, now there's generally 6 other back conditions, I'm not going to name them all, that can lead to pinched or damaged nerve roots, okay, in the spine. That pain, some veterans describe it as shooting pain up and down your body, throughout your arms, most commonly down the legs, but again, it depends on where the pinching happens of your spinal cord. That's what radiculopathy is, okay? That's what radiculopathy is. So maybe you have a primary service-connected disability for your back, limitation of range of motion. Maybe it's categorized as a lumbar strain, which is lower back. Maybe it's a cervical issue, which is up in the neck, okay? But let's say that's rated at 30%, okay? You might also have 2 secondary radiculopathy issues. Maybe there's an issue with your left leg and your right leg, right? Now, sometimes they categorize them together. It just depends. But we've seen situations where a veteran has 20% for the left side and 20% for the right side as secondary radiculopathy, okay, to the back. So that's very common. Again, don't forget about those secondary disability claims, okay? And again, you need some help. Take advantage of our resources. Good grief. You don't have to join our programs. You've got lots of options, vets. And we would love you to join because we want to celebrate life change with you, okay? But you don't have to. You can work with a VSO. You can do it yourself, independent of us. You can get your own doctors to help you, okay, if they will. you can learn on your own. I got a video out there on YouTube that shows you how to prepare and file your own claim on the new va.gov website in like 15 minutes. It's super simple, okay? What's not so simple is making sure that you've got your ducks in a row, okay? Your I's dotted, your T's crossed. What's making sure that the medical evidence tells the story of what you're dealing with. That's most commonly what we see of why a veteran doesn't have what they deserve, okay? Is you didn't have the right strategy. You didn't even know what you were eligible for. You told yourself you didn't deserve it because other veterans are perhaps worse off than you. You never went to the doctor on active duty. So here we are 10, 20, 30, 40 years later, and I can already read your rating decision. Denied. There's no evidence in your service treatment records of any back condition, of any hip problems, of any migraine complaints, of any sleep apnea type symptoms. Okay? And again, it's just shocking to me how many vets and even the raters and VSOs and attorneys don't understand there's typically a reason why you don't have the medical evidence. Because you didn't go to the doctor, okay? Most veterans don't even know. I didn't even know what the VA was until I'm days before taking off the uniform. I didn't even know, right? And this was 8 years ago, 2012, right? Nobody told me. Nobody came in and spoke to me. Nobody said, hey, Brian, you're about to leave the service. Make sure you go to medical, right? Nobody told me anything. I was just ready to go, man. And one thing I'll tell you is when the service decides you're done and you put in that paperwork and you click, I'm ready to get out, or you've finished your commitment time, nobody cares. Nobody freaking cares. They kick your butt out the door and the big blue machine, the big green machine, the big space machine, big Marine Corps ground pounder machines, right? The Coast Guard machine, the ship machine. It goes on. Okay? Now let me tell you a sobering reality that I had to deal with. I guess I had this like stupid idea or misconception that when I said I was going to get out and then actually got out, like somebody was going to try to stop me from doing it. Nobody stopped me, right? The big blue machine, United States Air Force didn't need me. There's somebody else right behind me ready to take my spot, right? That's the way the component works. It's either up or out. Think about it. That's the way active duty works. It's up and out. You can only go so high, you can only serve for so long, and at some point, you've reached your ceiling and you're done. And they kick your ass out the door, and nobody comes running to save you, and all of a sudden, you meet head on, sometimes for the first time ever, this thing called life, and it kicks you right in the face, and you fill yourself with self-doubt. You start to question your knowledge, skills, and abilities. You question your education. You question, am I going to fit in? Am I going to be received? Am I capable of performing now that I don't wear the uniform? Like, what am I going to do for money? What am I going to do for benefits? What am I, like it causes so much anxiety. And to top it off, here, not only do you get your butt kicked out the door, but for a lot of vets, this is the first time you've even heard of something called the Department of Veterans Affairs. Now, it's bad. It's bad. I'm trying, we as a movement are trying to change this. Cultural problems on active duty, to get out there, to talk to you. Hopefully, active duty troops are engaging with our YouTube channel. You're reading various blogs, right? Not just ours. You're reading the law. Hopefully, again, you send the elevator back down. and you help a brother or sister before they take off the uniform so that they can understand, you better get your butt to the doctor. You better tell them what's going on, okay? But if not, if it's years later, you're hearing my voice and you're like, yeah, man, like I didn't know what it was either. I had no clue. I didn't go to medical. Nobody helped me. Boom, I kicked my butt out the door. Didn't even know this thing called VA. We've heard from vets who they didn't even know they filed a claim. And all of a sudden they got this letter in the mail like, hey, you got 10%. Oh, cool. It's better than nothing, right? But you didn't even know you actually should have been 50% or 70% or 90. But again, how can you know? You don't know what you don't know. Same concept of coaching, right? A coach can help you unleash what you need to be resourceful, to get the answers to your own questions, to help you get what you deserve. And it goes far beyond disability. It goes to life, it goes to marriage, fitness, family, friends, happiness. Why do you think people hire life coaches? Why do you think executives hire business coaches? Because we ain't very good at knowing what we don't know. We aren't very good at seeing ourselves the way that others see us. That's what a coach can help you unleash, okay? Again, you need some help. The link is in the chat. The link is on the screen. VA claims, insiderelite.com. Again, it's an honor and a blessing for me to be able to do this. This is my gift. I truly believe this is why I'm here on this planet. I believe this is why I've gone through all the things I've gone through, the mental issues, the physical issues, the things I'm still battling, the addictions, drugs, alcohol, gambling. I mean, shit, you name it, I've done it, right? I've done it. I've destroyed my life multiple times over, and I'm lucky to be here. And with this new lease, with this opportunity, gives me the ability to give my gift back to you, which is knowledge, information, education, coaching, support, training, right? It's the meaning. The meaning of life is to give your gift away. You guys are awesome. Again, keep asking your questions. We're going to try to answer as many as we can. Even if you don't join our programs, I get it. I love you. I salute you. I appreciate you. I'm thankful for you. I am blessed to continue to be able to serve you. Okay? I love y'all. We'll see you again real soon, okay? Have a great day, everybody.